What is jury selection going to look like here, considering who this defendant is?
I actually think this is going to look a lot less circus-like than anyone can anticipate. First off, the judge is extremely experienced, and this is the type of case that is the bread and butter for the Manhattan DA's office, a falsifying business records case. Obviously, it's unlike other cases. It's historically unprecedented and all that, but at the same time, jury selection is going to be really just bringing in a bunch of jurors. And in this case, it's going to be a larger jury pool than the typical jury. And that's really just because most of the time people called for jury duty come into the room and they don't know who the defendant is and they don't know what the case is. And in this case, most everybody knows who the defendant is, and most everybody has read something about this case. And so it's going to be a challenge to try to find jurors who live here in Manhattan who can see this with an open mind. But I think that they'll be able to do that after, it may take a few days to get there, but they will get a jury. And then the trial is going to proceed much like every other trial that happens in that courthouse every day of the week.
And Duncan, how long do you think jury selection alone will last? Laura had mentioned, it's expected to take a couple of weeks. How long does it normally take? Because, again, hush money certainly isn't an unprecedented charge. But, again, we have an unprecedented defendant at the heart of all this.
I think it'll certainly take a few days. Right now, what they're doing is pretrial motions, which will be wrapped up by today. So I expect that it's going to get started at some point this afternoon. And my guess is it'll probably take a week. It could take a little bit more, a little bit less. But basically, the process is going to be as streamlined as possible, because what I think this judge does not want to do is get into a conversation with potential jurors about their politics. He doesn't want to say, oh, you're a Republican, so you can't hear it. I think the point is that Republicans, Democrats, whatever your political affiliation is, the real question is, hey, can you judge this fairly based on the facts that you're going to hear in a courthouse? And that's really what he's looking for. And so each side will have some number of what are called peremptory challenges, which are challenges based on just purely whatever they want. It can't be race-based, but it could be on other, they just don't want them on the jury. And then they'll have for-cause challenges, which might go on theoretically indefinitely, but it's really for anybody they think can't be fair. They'll get through it. My guess is about a week.
All right. I'd like to dig into a bit of what Brooke reported. Let's talk about Michael Cohen. I mean, how much of a problem is he as a witness? Because, again, this is also a man who has admitted to lying in the past.
It's not like the DA's office gets to pick and choose their witnesses. And if they did, they would pick the Pope to be their witness. It's not like that. What happens with criminal cases is that you get the witnesses that you get. And Michael Cohen is a problematic witness because not only is he coming in as a cooperator, but he's lied before. He's been found to have lied in federal court. And you better believe that Trump's lawyers are going to seize that and be all over that. But at the end of the day, the DA's office is no stranger to cooperator testimony and to dealing with difficult witnesses. Just remember that this case is like a jigsaw puzzle. It's not just one witness. They have a lot of other witnesses whose testimonies that have come in, and it's the way in which that other testimony and other evidence fits together like a jigsaw puzzle that'll corroborate what Michael Cohen has to say. So while he's problematic on his own, when you take it into consideration with all of the other evidence, the prosecutors are going to argue, look, he's telling the truth now. He's lied in the past, and here's why he's telling the truth now. He's got nothing to lose. Here's where he is, and I think they'll be able to explain it away. But at the end of the day, his credibility obviously is an issue, but there's enough strength in the rest of the case that I think will overcome that unto itself.
And Duncan, I have to ask you, I mean, we've seen Trump posting as recently as this morning on Truth Social. We saw him speaking outside of the courthouse, of the courtroom there. Is he in jeopardy of violating this gag order?
I think he has violated the gag order. I think there's no doubt about that. The question is, what is the consequence to it? The bail statutes in New York doesn't allow his bail to be revoked based on a violation of a gag order. They could charge him with something else like contempt. And there was some initial indication reported this morning that one of the prosecutors, Joshua Steinglass, brought up the notion of possibly holding Trump in contempt. I think that's something that will be looked at. And as an alum of the office and also as somebody who practices in that courthouse all the time, I think what the judge is concerned about and what people are concerned about is the threat of physical violence.
Right.
And the threat of violence looms large over this case.
Well, we will certainly see what happens. This is day one. Duncan Levin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.